Great. Hey, everyone, switch on your cameras. Fantastic. I'm happy to see you all. Let me make sure. And yeah, we even have Josh. Yeah. Let's see how many of us we can fit on the screen. And then maybe it'll open another, yeah, another screen. We'll wait for people to join. All right, everybody here already, you should feel free to switch on your cameras. I'm very happy to see you all here today. It's fantastic. And the first class. So this week is all about representation. We're not going to be doing any coding at all. You're welcome to do coding, obviously.
I like to use a step up, step back kind of policy if you find that you are sort of.
Is someone talking to us? Is someone saying something to me? I heard a voice, but it was like distant. No questions? No, Puneet, I don't think you were on mute because I could hear you. It was the audio was kind of corrupted or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, all of you switch on your cameras. And in fact, I also invited the online only students to join us too. So, last quarter, in fact, we had a bunch of students in class who were basically just online students. And they decided to attend our lectures too. And essentially, it's, lectures tend to be a lot of fun. And I hope everybody's here and I can start talking. And I am going to keep, bugging all of you guys to switch on your cameras at some point, again and again, repeatedly. Yeah, okay. Because this is like a class, essentially. And you'll all get to know each other. And the more important thing is here that my goal in through this entire quarter is to essentially fade into the background. Okay, that is what I'm hoping to do. Fade into the background, not in the sense of, just disappear and leave you to it, but basically just be an invisible fly on the wall. Because I think the best learning I've seen happen in a class, whether the class was taught by me or by someone else, I've seen the best learning happen. The students are teaching each other. Okay. And even when I was, teaching in a class, like, in the usual way, going around and doing these things, and then sometimes, I explain a problem to someone and say, all right, you go and help that person, I go and help this person. But the person that helped by the student actually gets it much faster. I kind of measured it. It's on average, it seems to be pretty a good heuristic to follow. Okay. So in fact, you will yourself find that the community learning atmosphere of this class is what will be totally awesome. Now, Josh here is a tutor for us, Josh Germain. Thank you, Josh. Okay. And he'll be here, a regular fixture at our classes. And yeah, and Josh was just completed 2A in the previous quarter. Okay, so you can actually ask him about his experiences too. And I'm pretty sure it's all basically community driven, isn't it, Josh? Was last quarter was basically community driven. You contributed a huge deal to helping fellow classmates along. So in fact, for I don't know whether we have tutor opportunities in summer or the next one will be in fall. But those who get A's in this class and do well and helping other people in the forum and in class, they can apply to be a tutor in my next offering of CS2A, right? I'll be offering a few more times, I think. Yeah. I think every class can have one embedded tutor. Josh is the one we got this quarter, fortunately. And things worked out because, it doesn't work out all the time, because sometimes students will say, I want to do it, but they won't have their social security number or paperwork in time and place. And by the time they start, it's already week 10 or week 11. So with Josh, everything worked out nicely. And he's also had experience because he towards the end of last quarter, he was one of you helping all the other guys with the code and everything in the capacity of a tutor, essentially. So I thought it'll be really cool. So that he'll actually be tutoring you guys in that capacity. Well, basically he won't be doing that, but he'll be on standby to do that anytime. Okay, as I will be too. Right? If Josh is not here, and I will also be there. But ideally, the goal is for one of you or many of you to jump in and do what Josh did last quarter. And Josh is just backup, stand by. And if people are totally stuck, you can ask Josh or me, and we'll, say, all right, this is what could get us unstuck, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's what we'll do. No coding today at all. Okay, no coding. And what we'll do is we just want to do, data representation. Now, hopefully you've started reading the data representation module, right? Now, by the way, I don't want to get into the, I know in some of the classes, the first class is like, intros and soft stuff and, stuff like that. And it's not worth taking too much time during actual class to do that stuff. We have, the social, we have Reddit, we have, the social side of Canvas and all these other things. The campus is open. You guys can run into each other. I think that'll be a much better way of getting to know each other better than in class. So I hope you're not expecting that we'll have an ease in to the material of CS2A. Even in 1A, it is probably possible, in 1A and 3A, where data representation is probably not so key to the programming language. And so, yeah, okay, you can kind of skimp out on the first week. Well, the professor can, I think, because for C++, you have to cover pretty much all of the material that the other languages cover. But in addition, you have to cover the data representation part, for which the student have to be really strong in data representation. And they have to also master pointers, which you miraculously expect students to understand in 2 weeks. And it is not 2 weeks, really. In 2 weeks, you can actually get to understand what pointers are about, high-level view. But it takes all of maybe 6 months, okay, of basically marinating in problems involving pointers that will essentially give you, let you know about pointers like the back of your hand. And so we have classes for that, right? 2B and 2C. Lead code and things like that, they're also there. But I think that the target of those platforms is different, is meant towards, performance computing. And, performance computing is important too in the Quest too, because you get timed for various things. But it is not just blind, unaesthetic performance computing. So you'll learn the right ways to, or the best ways to optimize these codes, the code you write as you code more and more, right? So essentially, people who have experience with data representation or computer architecture, or like I think one of you said you have experience in actually programming Motorola chips and all. Was it, Richard, was that you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we have a very wide expertise in this class. Okay, so we have people who have been marinating in bits and bytes for a long time, and then people who are basically just new to the subject. And basically, just finished a degree in philosophy. I want to learn computer science, right? I saw some intros like that too. So we have a big mix of students. So it'll actually be very nice because we'll bring different perspectives to bear on all of these different problems, try and attack these problems in different ways too, right? So some kind of thinking that might actually align better with a solution that is more efficient. All those things are really cool. And for us to basically just discover and find out as we go along, okay? So today, what I was planning to do essentially was just answer any questions you may have, you may have. Now, first of all, there's a few things that you got to do. In the chat, before you go, you got to say hello, or what did we hey Josh, what did we use class, what did we use last class in the chat?
We just said hello.
Yeah. I think you just say hello or yes or something like that, okay? Because my crawler can just pick it up and get the attendance. But for hybrid students, I mean, for the students who are attending class, no, face-to-face. What is it called? Face-to-face is hybrid, and the other one is online. Okay, if you're hybrid, attendance is mandatory. That's what we'll use. for your points. And all the other ones, if you're here, if you're an online student, that'll also count for your, kind towards your participation, obviously. So even online students will, benefit. Plus you'll get opportunities to live code. Okay, I think that is the greatest thing that you can get out of a class, because everything else you can get elsewhere. You can get a book, you can get instructive, you can get AI tutors too, all of these things. But what you pay for is the experience, and the experience of actually coding is different from reading about coding, and that is what you pay for. And so many people forget what they pay for and say, well, I'm just going, right? And I don't know how many of you are here are planning to make a living out of programming, because that is like totally useless, right? By the time you're done with this, you have absolutely no point, and you can't earn a cent out of these things. However, learning how to program improves your life in many different ways, because it just teaches you a form of thinking, critical thinking, how to shave things off and look at just what matters, and do not let the other things get in the way. Okay, so and that is a skill that is polished through practice. Okay, even in real life too, polished through practice, just like in debugging, because you need to learn. Generally people need to learn how to initially we say, oh, this is not working at all. I think it's a common experience that many of the students go through, right? I think Josh can also confirm that it doesn't work at all. And then when it doesn't work, it's not initially, maybe as students, the biggest fear is that maybe I don't even know how it works. Okay, I have no idea at all. That is a fear. But actually, the bigger danger is not knowing anything at it. I think is actually having too many hypotheses and not knowing which one is correct. And so you end up chasing the wrong, I don't know, what is it, down the wrong rabbit hole. Okay, and which happen all the time. Okay, all the time in CS2B. If you go to the Reddit, CS2C, even in CS2A, if you go to the Quest 9 and all these things, you'll see lots of students. Maybe they don't post about it these days, but you can look at the previous posts, going back many years and all, and they all post about, I spent 2 days, 3 days going down the wrong rabbit hole. Ultimately, it was some very simple, silly mistake. When I fixed this, it was easy to go, right? But you just end up going down the wrong trail. But it's not that you always get caught up there. The thing is, what I found is that it is just a question of time, right? Everybody will just go down wrong trails all the time, especially as kids. They go down wrong trails, and then if they don't, if they're not too bad, they come back and figure it out, and they say, well, the next time they tend to recognize it sooner. Next time, sooner and sooner, and this happens much faster, like AI, right? Than you can imagine. Okay, so you only need to encounter like 6 or 7 instances of wrong trails. Then because of the unpleasantness of the task involved, your brain figures out really, really quickly how to identify them from far away. And so that is what really takes, and I think I've made this point many times, and even in a previous class, that is what makes an expert programmer. Okay, an expert programmer is someone who's made so many mistakes. Okay, so many mistakes in the safe confines of a place that is not going to kill him or her. Okay, and has survived with the knowledge that they're not going to be killed. Right, because especially as people like you at your age group, anything that happens, you think that's the end of my life. Okay, that's because you haven't met enough problems in life, right? But I think what happens is that, as you encounter more and more problems, and as you conquer more and more problems, when you encounter new problems, no one does, phase you or defeat you completely. You'll say, well, you know what, that is something that matches case number 342.3, right, in my life. So I can fix that in 2.5 days. Okay, so the more of these you encounter and you overcome, the more you can match and say, well, you know what, I can budget my time and I'll be there in 15 days time, I can finish it. And so that's what happens with programming too. So what I find is that the some of the best programmers I've worked with, they're not necessarily the people who I would say, given any problem, they'll just figure out the solution to it. Okay, but what happens is that they just figure out how not to do all the wrong things to the problem. And that just comes with practice, I think, because when the newbies approach the same problem, I've given the same problems to different kinds of people, but when an inexperienced person trying a problem, they'll try all kinds of things. Okay, it's not that one is going to be idle and the other one is going to be expert and working all the time. No, they're all working full speed. They're all engaging their full mental cycles. But the newbies always try things that don't work. Okay, this is like taking money and throwing it away, and I'm going to bet on this horse. I'm going to bet on this horse. All the money gone. Okay, without exercising any judgment there. But I think what happens is that after a while of losing money like that, they kind of figure out, well, you know what, my money is just going to waste. I got to figure out some kind of pattern so I don't just throw my money away. And then because throwing money away is so bad and unpleasant, you kind of figure it out and say, well, you know what, I can tell from here. So you know that when a young person goes and does that, you can tell from here, hey, that is totally not going to work. So when you go and pitch your idea to a venture capitalist or someone like, for example, when you have an idea and you need investment and so on and so forth, it is possible to tell immediately whether that is going to take off or not, right? But unfortunately, and some of my friends they don't tell the entrepreneur that the idea is totally a non-starter. They say, try it, and if it works, that is great. Okay, and I think that's a wrong message. I don't know, but kids will figure it out eventually, I guess. I don't know how we got started talking about that, but basically, you just need to know where what not to do. What not to do. I think that's all there is to it. Okay, you have to know what not to do and how to just get through and survive, because when you get through the other end, you just feel the difference. Okay, already by the end of CS2A, I think Josh would probably be able to tell you that you would have learned quite a lot of stuff. I'm pretty sure you talk on any student in 2B or 2C and ask them, they'll say but you got to put in a lot of work and effort. And the goal there is to make you fail as many times as possible within the safe confines of this great community, so that everybody's looking out for each other. And because it is much better to fail in a place where everybody's expecting you to fail, or like trust falls. We're expecting you to fail because when you fail, we can prop you back up. So there's so many people here, right? Rather than saying, all right, I got my certificate, I'm going to go out there. There you can afford to fail. But if you fail, there's nobody out there who's going to catch you, right? It's going to be really bad. You're going to hit yourself, and it's going to be and maybe you won't get a second chance. Whereas here in a college, you are expected to fail. And in fact, the bad students are the ones who don't fail. Okay, essentially, they're not taking up the opportunity to fail and saying, well, I'm just going to stay on the safe beaten path, never make any mistakes in my college, because I'm going to make all my mistakes in life, not in college. Okay, a crazy idea that is, right? So I think here, especially the young people, they have a lot of people looking after them and making sure that if they do something wrong, they'll get lots of warnings, rather than reprimanded and punished for it. Okay, so that's basically the idea. That is the culture of this class we're going for. The first week, we're not going to do any coding at all. It's going to be data representation. You can ask questions. In fact, ideally, at some point, someone say, I don't understand how to do two's complement or something like that. All right, sign magnitude. Someone else just says, hey, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to let's work through this on an iPad, shared iPad, a Zoom window, or even on a screen, with notepad and big font. We'll work it out together. We had that done last class. Every quarter, actually, someone takes the screen and does that. And you can also work through a problem where you have to convert your name, right, from one, base 27 to base 26. All those fun things are possible. Everything can be done in class. But keep in mind that you only have 2 days, okay? 2 days, only today and Thursday, because next week we have to start programming. See, that is the unfortunate side effect of CS2C, the 2 track compared to the A and B tracks, the Python and Java, all these other languages, okay? Really, because we have to cover all of the same material, essentially. In addition, you have to cover some super duper important topics for this language alone. Which means that this by nature, the state or the government has crammed more material into C++. So we got to get started programming as soon as possible. Well, actually, in spite of that, we actually had a lot of time last quarter at the end, right? Because students generally, it's I think programming is Yeah, it depends on the projects we do, right? If it's fun and all the students are engaged, everybody really gets expert in all of the topics really quickly. And then we have a lot of time at the end to play around. Okay, so I have a couple of interesting projects in mind. If not, Josh might have a couple of interesting projects. You know, some of the projects that we worked on last quarter would also be fine. But I think I have a couple of ideas. Yesterday, I had a couple of ideas for a game. Actually, this afternoon, but not yet, right? This is like in a couple of weeks. I was thinking about how we can do something like Angry Birds on screen. It's actually very simple and easy, and it'll be a fun game to actually implement and play in class. Maybe one or two classes, but you got to get through looping and if statements and so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, and you guys should let me know, all right? Or Josh, or someone should let me know if this is not going to work for you. I'm thinking, let's not differ until week 3 and week 4 for talking about if statements and looping, okay? Because, according to the syllabus and things like that, we have data representation and then basic IO statements and then branching and looping, it go like that. But it is a pain, I can tell you, okay? Because learning about this and saying only that, and I think what we can do is right off the bat, okay? Next week, let's just start coding with very simple loops, very simple branching statements, very simple input output, all of them thrown together, right? But then we'll have 3 whole weeks to cover all of that, okay? So we'll go over that repeatedly over and over again. Everybody will get a chance to code on screen. Now, that is one of the greatest and coolest opportunities. If you're not doing that, you're basically tossing your money away. All right. So ask Josh. Okay, because coding is actually fun, isn't it? Live coding is fun, Josh, isn't it? Last class, in fact, Josh live coded, and he also helped a lot of other classmates live code by being, many students actually volunteered by saying, calling out the code for the live coder to type. But Josh volunteered more times, I think, than many students. So he's been on both sides. So it's actually a great deal of fun. But I did speak to a lot of students who did that, and they say it is actually unnerving, okay, at first, because it's like public speaking, really. Because you're up there, all of these guys are looking at you and you're coding and my semicolon out of place and you feel really bad, okay? But yeah, that is okay. But what the hell, who cares? Okay, that's what you should think. And because at the end of the day, yeah, all of these videos can be produced in any form, having you do whatever someone else wants you to want to see you doing using AI at some point. Who cares, really? Because ultimately the goal is for you to have a good time and learn the interesting stuff and just go for it, okay? Because I think it is like a roller coaster. Because from all the people I've talked to, because at the beginning, you got to really convince people, right? Sometimes you got to pull them in, strap them in sometimes, and you're going to have fun. Don't worry, I'm right behind you, or things like that, okay? But when they do it, after they've been through it one time, it is really exhilarating, okay? That's what it is. It is that exhilarating feeling, because you just feel free at that point and say, okay, well, you know what, that kind of thing, that right didn't kill me, because I thought it was going to kill me. It didn't. So it's just opened up a whole new set of possibilities. So it's a new freedom in front of you. And so the more you feel it, you'll just see that you have another dimension to explore in your life. And so that is basically essentially overcoming fears of all kinds. So if you have a fear, if you have a stage fear, if you have coding in front of other people fear, this is a fantastic opportunity to get over it, okay? So in fact, if you don't have fear, you should actually yield to other people, right? And say, oh, I'm going to give up my temptation to code, because it's also, if you're not afraid to live code, if you're not afraid to live show, do things on screen. The other side of it is that it's also very tempting because it's fun, right? Because at the end of the day, we're all fun-loving and puzzle-loving creatures, okay? So we're working on problems and there's something interesting, and you already know how to do it. Well, you're not shy, let's say, and then you're really tempted. I can tell you, right? Because nobody else is also volunteering. So say, and you want to see it done. Say, I want to do it. I want to do it, right? So that is something that you have to overcome, I think. At some point, but getting there is actually absolutely fantastic. I look forward to another development of another class going through the same kind of development I've seen in some of the other classes. Okay, Oh, by the way, before I forget, and before, I'll open up the stage for any questions. Obviously, anyone can ask any questions before we go on to, actual, problems regarding data representation. There is a student who took this class, and I'll make an announcement at some point. 4 years ago, when I first, made questing, right? It had a couple of bugs then, I think. But, he was the first, I think, the first batch of CS2C students. 2A, 2B, and 2C to do it. And then after that, he went to Georgia Tech and completed a master's in computer science. And he's back, and he's just completed, okay, just completed. And he said he'd love to come and talk to you guys, okay? So you can have a session with him, and you can ask him any question you want. And he will be more than happy to answer them, okay? His name is Fred Hoffman. He's actually on the subreddit, I think on 2A, blue, green, and red. You'll find him there. Lots of very interesting posts. That's 4 years ago, okay? And he's come back and he said, I really want to talk to the blue questioners again. Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? So you can imagine that, in 4 years' time, maybe you've completed your master's in computer science, right? And you want to come back and say, hey, you know what? I want to talk to a bunch of students who are still doing hexadecimal to binary conversion, okay? Because I'm just doing this other thing, and it's really cool. It's just a continuum, and you're just moving on that. And it'll be really fun. All right, so here's what I want to do. I'm thinking that next week, right, Tuesday. Is Tuesday a good time? I'm thinking 7:30. We'll try and cut the lecture short at 7:30, and 7:30 to 8. So we'll have a class from 6 to 7:30, and 7:30 to 8. How about I just set up a Zoom with Fred, and I'll share the URL here or on the announcements, and you should just feel free to hop on the call and talk to Fred. Okay, all of you guys, including Josh, and your friends too, who've done this class before. I think who are not here. You can ask them to do it. Okay, so hey, oh, I see you're asking everyone. Okay, Sophia, that's okay. All right, okay, so is that good? Raise your hand if you guys are interested in talking to her, right?
Hold
so
on.
all these classes. Yeah.
To answer Sophia's question,
Yeah.
most jobs only require a bachelor's in CS. A master's is only for people that have a bachelor's in something else, or if you want to go into like research or academia.
Is that for me? Is that question
That's for
Sophia?
them.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, yeah, it needs to be, I think it needs to be clearly understood that pursuing any of these things for a job is useless, okay, from now on, because the pace at which AI is actually developing, this is emergent AI. We still don't know. We haven't figured out where the emergence happens. It's just there. We're just trying to play psychologists and say this part of the network learns this and so on, right? So it's emergence we haven't really figured out, like quantum mechanics. But it is, but what we see is so startling and astounding that I would totally not be surprised if this is because right now, right, even over the summer, over the last quarter, I just needed something to be done. Usually I spend a half hour or so, coding it up, or have a student to do it. Because and someone suggested, why don't you try this ChatGPT? And I tried, and it was perfect code. Okay, it was very nice. And this is just this generation, and it's just getting better by leaps and bounds. I actually saw even months ago, it was getting better and better at translation and other things. So I think it'll just be a matter of time before software engineering for money, most jobs for money, history really, but software engineering especially, because I can see this happening right in front of my eyes. Maybe sooner than robots take over other job opportunities. So, but you still need to learn computer science, because like I said before, it is as an art, okay? An art that teaches you how another dimension where you can appreciate, reality. And it isn't, you can learn this in all other ways too, right? You can learn critical thinking via physics, via philosophy, all these other things, right? But mathematics and logic, philosophy and logic, right? And not ethics and so on, right? And computer science, these are cheapest, okay? In my opinion, that's what I said. That's my right? Cheapest, meaning you don't need external resources, you don't need a lab, you don't need a telescope, you don't need observation, you don't need to move atoms, okay? You just move electrical fields in your mind and you can actually come to yes or no counterexamples to train your neural network. And that could happen much more faster and less energy intensively. And so that's, you can derive the maximum amount of knowledge with the least amount of effort. Okay, so that's why I say it is, you don't need much to do a computer, a laptop and you're done, right? For lots of things. And in fact, if you're just doing a theoretical math or computer science, you don't even need this, right? You just need to sit down and think. So that's why I think that people will continue to learn this. And this is going to be a skill just to, just as a way, because people eventually, when they go to learn something, is they want to learn how to sharpen their thinking in one particular dimension or one particular angle, so to get what they want. Okay, and there's many ways to do it. This is one of those ways. Okay, and that is the only angle with which people will learn these things, right? These skills in the future. So don't learn and enroll in this class thinking that you're going to get a transfer or a certificate or things like that. But Fred is but yeah, like Sophia, to answer Sophia's question, you still want to do a master's and all these things for the knowledge, okay? Not for I want to do a master's to become a professor, I want to do for a researcher and so on and so forth. No, well, okay, you can be a researcher, but it'll just be for our curiosity and interest, right? It's just learning something, even though it's been discovered and known by someone else, it doesn't stop us from learning it. Yes, we still learn it because it's fun and interesting to know how things work. And so even though someone else or something else could do it better than us, we're still going to learn it, how to do it. And so masters and all these studies, and if you want to do masters, I think that'll be a great opportunity. I don't think there'll be any formal core qualifications like masters and stuff like that in the future. I don't know how this is going to shape up because essentially learning will just become a continuous road. Because you'll just be able to learn whatever you want, anytime you want, whenever you're free, at your own pace, because you'll have a personalized tutor by your side all the time. Yeah, this is actually know you, and it'll know when what kinds of ways things can be explained to you. These are things that I was hoping would happen sooner, because we actually did have a technology for lots of these things even before. But obviously the education system, or either the public education system, has a lot of inertia too, right? Has to overcome many things before these things actually take effect. But still, it is all that really is the end goal, I think. All right, so I hope that by this time, in a couple of weeks, most of you who are in class will actually pretty much understand, by looking at news and all these things, that there's really no point in learning this to make a living, right? To get a job. Certainly no, if it's not going to be be a desirable job or things like that in the future, but you learn it to actually enjoy it and have a great time at it. Okay, so then that is why I think it is worth putting in the time, right? The sweat equity in this class. It will be hard. Balance your time. This is the first lecture, so I might as well give you the warning. Don't drop any heavy duty classes. I think 2 or 3, right? Max 3 in STEM, 3 classes. And if you're doing like 4 or 5 STEM classes, no, I don't know. It's totally not worth it, in my opinion. Unless you actually do have a really lot of time after, or lots of it is very simple to you. But even then, I think it is worth spending more time on one thing, because it lets you savor more of it, I think. Because even if you know differential equations and you're taking that class and saying, well, that's one more, something like that. There's so many interesting nooks and crannies you could explore, even though you're getting an A, because you know the stuff with no effort. But if you didn't do so many more demanding courses, there's more you can explore. You can find out. Yeah, more interesting, because these things, and that's something I only realized much later, after, not at your age anyway, was that these things you only get one chance many times. Otherwise you have to wait until for much longer, right, after you're done working and all, to learn about many of these things. Because getting in deep into these things, this is a fantastic opportunity, and I think lots of people just waste it. And then you find, all right, that was the best time for me to get into the subject deeply, right? So you should just do that, and don't spread yourself thin. Okay, that is what I see a lot of students doing. Okay, and that is why I actually warn against that in the syllabus too. Don't spread yourself thin by enrolling in like 5 STEM courses and things like that. 3 max, and then do another 2 from general ed, okay, like art, something like that. Less demanding courses where you're not aiming for an A, meaning that you can actually take it easy and just go to socialize, and not socialize, but have a different kind of conversation with some of those students, right? So you can go, branch out into the on the campus and so on and so forth. I actually do have recommendations for other courses too, right? Some of my friends who are teaching in other faculty departments and so on. And I know, I've actually been their students too. As a faculty, I actually enrolled in some of those classes. So I know how much fun some of those other classes are. So I'm happy to give you feedback. Our counselors can also give you lots and lots of feedback and help in planning. Okay, so don't drop this class because there are people in the waiting list, and I'm not giving out any more ad codes. 2 more people asked, and I said, until they're done with the question number 3 before the last date for the ad code, I'm not issuing any more ad codes. So I think you guys will probably be the last group to to do all the way to 2B and 2C also, because next quarter, if someone does 2A in fall, then they won't have the they can't do my 2C. Well, they'd be able to do some 2C, but they won't be able to do my 2C because by I'll be offering 2C in winter next year, and spring I don't offer 2C. I think this spring or next spring, and after that I'm retired, right? So they can do the questioning, obviously. But so you guys will have a chance to do the whole track, and I hope you stick all the way through, okay, because it is actually a very interesting data point, and that's why it's like super duper important that all of you make it a point to make a Reddit post converting a name into from base 27 to hexadecimal as described in the module 0. Okay, do that and make a post, because after you complete the red quest number 9, okay, after you complete red quest 9, look back on this post, and that will actually refer, jog your memory completely, bring you back here and say, well, this is how I came into this class, and and these are the things I learned, and you'll see every week's reflection, everything, right, that led you up to that place, and that I think is very important for a student, because it lets them calibrate future work more easily. Because even in work, newbies, when you hire newbies, when you give them a project, they have no idea how much time it's going to take them, right? So the managers usually plan it out for them, but the more experienced programmer gets, they'll actually know how long it takes. There's just like, because they've just been through these things and they've survived it without giving up. So if you give up, you never find out. If anything you give up, you never find out how long it's going to take, right? If you don't give up, you'll find out how long it takes. That's all you need for anything. So if you just keep that in mind, and just keep adding, all right, I just need one more day, and so on. So you'll get to, and as long as you make forward progress, you're, or you don't make backward progress, there's only one way to go, right? I think that's what it is. It is a great deal of fun. Okay, last quarter I had a great deal of fun. This quarter also I'm hoping to have a great deal of fun, and there'll be a bunch of interesting projects we can work on. So for the rest of this class today, which is about 1 hour left, what we'll do is we'll just open up the class, the floor to questions. Any questions anyone can ask. Either I can help, or even better, one of you who's actually feeling up for it can share the screen and say, well, you know what, that person asked a question, let's solve this problem, right? And solve this problem together, all of us together, and in the process that will be answered. Okay, then if you are unable to come up with a situation like that, I will help you the first few times. Okay, so someone says, I don't understand 2's complement. Okay, and then I say, all right, why doesn't someone else share the screen? Let's pick a number, right? Let's take minus 127 or minus 67, represent in 2's complement, negate that, what is the value of that, and so on and so forth, or sign magnitude, or even converting from base to base. All right, 2's complement maybe next class. Maybe on Thursday we'll do 2's complement. Anything else? A floating point notation, maybe. All right, yeah, we'll do next class, we'll do 2's complement floating point notation. This class we'll just do converting from base to base. Okay, so someone says, I don't know how to convert from base 10 to octal, right? Octal is a number system where you only have 8 digits on each hand, okay? So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 7, 2, 0, okay? So you have 7 digits instead of 9 digits. That's octal. No, 8 digits instead of 10 digits. That's octal. Octal. A hexadecimal is 6 digits, no, 16 digits instead of 8 digits. So hexadecimal, right? Hex plus 6 plus 10, hexadecimal. So 16. And so you have a 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then A, B, C, D, E, F. Right? So the reasons for these things kind of funny. It's not worth going into during a lecture, but it's explained in module 0. Okay, so I figured that I'll write about it once in module 0 because it kind of gets old. It's interesting reasons why you choose. Lots of these things are interesting. And I used to actually talk about these reasons even in lectures. When I used to lecture in class, I used to talk about them, but it gets very old. Okay, maybe it doesn't get old for students because they're hearing it for the first time. But it actually gets old for the lecturer because you're saying the same thing over and over again, same story. And then you can't tell it with the same level of, I don't know, looking forward to that I have when I say something new. So I think it carries over into the story. So what I decided to do, I'll just put it in the module 0 so that, you can read it. Okay, and it's interesting trivia. Okay, please do read it. Lots of trivia, right? So you bubbles. You'll say, why is this hexadecimal pattern? What is this value? And you may think, oh, I'll skip it. Yeah, you can skip it. It doesn't matter. But if you actually do it, you'll find that there's actually a very interesting piece of historical trivia, maybe. Okay, and why early engineers use that particular pattern in all of these things are buried in there. So you'll find out, and that's why I say, just like all these other classes too. If you don't overload yourself, you can give it a lot of time, and time is what it takes to appreciate the subject. Okay, rather than, because you can do a breadth first search, doing lots and lots of things, keep marching forward, but that is more goal finding. Okay, because if in a graph algorithm, for example, if you want to find a target node, many algorithms are breadth first, meaning it'll search level by level. Okay, that level, further out from the source node. Okay, like that. Okay, breadth first, you'll find that target. But the depth first approach just goes as deep as possible as you can, and then you can't go any deeper. You come back and then go like that. Okay, so it goes like that. That is depth first. Two kinds of searches you'll encounter in computer science by next year. Also in the next quarter also, we have some algorithms that use breadth first search. So all of those things. Yeah. So if you do, So if you have a target in mind, saying I need to get there, okay, then I think it makes sense to do breadth first search. Okay, saying I'm going to measure in lots and lots of different fields. Okay, because I don't know what kind of success I'm after, but I'm after some general success. Okay, some nebulous notion of success out there, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to do lots and lots of things. I'll do music and mathematics and education and computers, all of them. And then maybe one of them will lead me to success. That is like a totally, useless way to find success, I think. But I think it's much better to invest the time and figure out what is it that really, tickles your fancy, and say, well, you know what, I'm not going to do all these other things. I'm just going to do this one thing because that's what I want. And so that you go with depth first instead of breadth first. And so you won't do lots and lots of things. You just pick one and go deep into it. Because that is the path of the knowledge seeker, I think, rather than jack of all trades. Say, this is something I want to get deep into because I want to become a real master of that. And I think that will be the knowledge seeker of the future too, because there's no point in becoming a jack of all trades, because you have agents that could know more about more domains than you do at the same time. So then you just say, I just want to get to the bottom of these things. Right, and that is more interesting, intrinsically fulfilling, right? In many ways, in my opinion. So anyway, so take that all with a grain of salt. Lots of things I say in these lectures, even going forward, you absolutely take everything with a grain of salt, okay? Because I just talk my mind off the top of my head, and some of them may be wrong, and that is actually fantastic. because what we a totally terribly boring class if I only told you all the right things. Okay, which so I should, just like an AI model, I should sometimes give you wrong information too, so that you say, well, I can't trust that person. I got to exercise my own judgment. Okay, I got to say, does that sound right? Does it sound right? Okay, and I think everybody can do that. Right. So I don't believe that there are people that basically can decide what is right and what is wrong and say, follow this, follow that, follow this, follow that. And other people can blindly do that. Total nonsense. Right. And that is also not scalable. It is a non-computer science world way of looking at the whole world. Okay. A real computer scientist can look at everyone as a computing organism and say, well, you know what? Everybody can figure out what the hell they need to do, right? So I don't need to be told what to do. So just don't hit, don't do bad things to other people, but do the thing that is right, and you can figure it out. You just have to not be distracted. And I think that is the thing that people at your age group are especially vulnerable to, is there are so many things vying for your time and attention. Okay, and time is really the most invaluable commodity that you can ever have. Okay, far more valuable than gold, platinum, anything you can think of. Time, because that is what you can invest in yourself. But unfortunately, what is going on is that, young people, many of the young people today out there, if I just go wander out on the street, they're investing all the time they have, not in themselves, but in other things, not in themselves. Meaning that either it's in Fortnite or something else, or social, or other people are trying to validate, make someone believe something else, right? Whatever it is, but it is not targeted towards self-improvement. Okay, but time targeted towards self-improvement is the most valuable thing that you could ever have in your life. Okay, and then and entertainment and all these other things are just soft forms of taking things away from you, even if they come in the guise of entertainment with value, education loaded entertainment. I because I've seen some kids talk about, oh, this is a game, but it's actually got educational content in it, so it's worth playing. Right? No, that is total bullshit. Okay, because I think that is like saying, well, it's 90% of the sugar. I got 1 gram of chamomile tea in it, so it's herbal tea. So well, you shouldn't drink it for the chamomile tea, but it's all of the sugar, right? So entertainment can be used to dilute education too. And that is actually happening in video games, and lots of kids, I think, are falling prey to, I think, what many people are are claiming out there on the Reddit, also saying, oh, this game is really fantastic. It teaches a lot of educational, valuable life skills and shit like that. But I think that is useless. Okay, all of the skills you can learn in a much more concentrated fashion than, in 5 hours of gaming. I learned this one thing that is useful in my life. No, you could have learned that anyway. Right? Just using that as an excuse. So, and the reason I say that is because those 5 hours are extremely valuable when you put towards something like this class. Because I see by the time we get to quest number 6, 7, quest number 7, students drop off. Okay, and then students have less time. They say, well, I can only do questing on the weekend or something like that because I got to do all these other things, and the time is taken up by many other things. But you got to be like super duper careful. Just make up your mind right now and say, these things are useful, those things are not useful. Okay, so I'm just going to spend time improving my own self. Okay, because that is what I got the luxury of doing right now. You don't get the luxury of doing that later, because when someone else paying you, you can't say, hey, I'm going to take your money and also improve myself. No, say, I'm paying you money, so give me all that improved stuff, work for me. Okay, so you can say, I'm going to take some part of that, obviously, but now 100% of your time is improving yourself. So don't waste it on entertainment and all these other things, which can come later. You can get that to the power 10 afterwards, because if you invest in yourself, whatever you think you can get now, you can get that to the power 10 or much higher later on, because you'll be armed with more fuel and more things ways to address all these things, right? So I say that because even last quarter, even though we had a lot of committed students, I think Josh can confirm that towards the end of the class, even now we have a lot of students on class in Zoom, but still, even though attendance is mandatory and lots of people would lose points for not coming to classes, they start dropping off. I think maybe half of this towards the end of the quarter. Many people dropped off, and I would like to not have that happen in this class. Okay, if there's anything that you feel that is making it hard for you to stay in class, you should absolutely talk to me or to Josh or to anyone, right? Or on the Reddit or to fellow classmates on Reddit. And they will all be happy to help you. Don't talk on Discord, okay? Discord I think is more for real-time communication, like games and so on and so forth. And it also spoils the fun, and it spoils the community atmosphere of this class. keep everything on Reddit. That way people can interact with each other, and you also have lots and lots of material for you to reflect on, and also pull into your reflections in the final reflection and so on and so forth. You can link to these posts. So have all your conversations on Reddit. And it totally does not matter, even if you ask stupid questions, because it is much better to say, well, 15 years ago, I asked a stupid question, right? And there's so many people who didn't ask stupid questions, right? But, I had the guts to ask a stupid question, right? But maybe you're a megastar then, a lot of, maybe you solve some super complicated theory. But you did ask some stupid question 15 years ago, right? So you can actually go back to that, and you'll know that it is only because you had the guts to ask the question, you actually know all this stuff later on, right? So you should absolutely feel free to leverage Reddit, all these social forums. Don't ask, shut off the discussion forum on Canvas, because it kind of dies at the end of the quarter, right? It just evaporates and nobody knows. But Reddit, it's always there. You can refer to this, like Fred, right? When he came back, he can actually go into Reddit and look at his post from 4 years ago, right? All the trophies that he got and all these interesting cards. It's actually fun. And hopefully you will see your own posts. Even after when you come back, I'll be retired, right? So you'll be able to go back to Reddit and or ask some AI cover on Reddit to say, hey, what did I say on about C++ 5 years ago, right? Bring up everything I said, and you'll be able to see. And you can ask the bot to create my learning profile using all of my Reddit posts for over the last 4 years in this language. Okay. And you'd be able to see, and I think those kinds of things are also useful, because it will let you discover ways in which patterns that say, those are common. I can actually leverage the same thing in learning something else, right? Maybe I want to learn how to play some new musical instrument, right? Oh, actually that pattern, even though it was programming, it was very similar, so I could use that pattern here too. It's all, yeah. So one thing leads to another, right? That's what they always say, isn't it? And I think that has come from experience, saying that inductively we feel that this is causal chain, or the way that we think that one thing leads to another, I think, right? So it's interesting. Anyway, all right. So anyway, I don't mean to keep waffling on and on like this. And by the way, you should also know by now that someone should keep talking all the time, anytime on Reddit. And also, all these, half the class is not even switched on the cameras. Okay, you should all switch on your cameras. This is like a live class, and everybody should be here. And all these other people who have their cameras on, this is like saying, if you can't go to a social and say, well, I'm going to come here in a mask, and nobody else should wear a mask, right? So everybody sees everybody else, and there's nothing to all right, hide in this class. Okay, so please do switch on your cameras. And yeah, and by the way, even when it comes to live coding or other people working, you guys working with each other, and I turn the laptop around so that I'm not in your face, I'm behind your laptop. Even then, I encourage, or actually require, someone to keep talking, right? Or the live coder to basically say, ABCD or whatever it is. This says, all right, do while for exclamation mark, whatever it is they're typing. Keep the airwaves occupied. The reason for that is that if there's total silence, students just disconnect. Okay, and so you got to keep talking, and then that will keep everyone reined in and on the same page. Okay, so even if it's nonsense, right? And you can basically talk, and if you're not typing anything substantial, you can talk about the weather too. Anything that comes into your mind, it doesn't matter. It could be wrong, it could be right. Who cares? Okay, because it's your opinion. It could change from one day to another. Tomorrow you could believe something else. So it totally doesn't matter what you say. So you just go ahead, say whatever you want, but keep the airwaves occupied all the time. Because if it's silence, yeah, I think there are a couple of, I'm trying to think of one other major drawback of that silence, and I keep forgetting. I mentioned this in a previous class. These are the two drawbacks of this sudden silence. Okay. Anyway, if it comes to me, I'll tell you. So please keep the airwaves occupied at any time. Keep on talking. If you have any questions, ask. If you have a doubt on what to do with base conversions, ask. If someone wants to say, hey, you know what? I'm trying to understand how to convert from base 2 to base 10, or base 10 to base 2, right? Ask. And someone else could take the screen, and we'll just come up with a sample problem, and you could solve it. Okay, and it'll be really fun, great deal of fun solving it in front of other people, because this is the first time. And after you've done it 3 or 4 times, you'll actually start asking for a chance to do that. Okay.
Hi, can I ask a question about Reddit?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, I type it in the chat. So like you said on the syllabus, you need your first and last name and the random number. But if I don't have the number, that's okay, right? I should use slash my name.
For the Reddit username?
Yeah, also for the
Yeah.
student ID.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for you, I think it would just be Yang underscore C 1 2 3 4
Oh
5.
yeah, I have Mark on it's my name.
Mark, yeah, Mark C 1 2 3 4 5.
I don't have the number, that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's another Mark C, so that's fine.
So should I try to differentiate that?
No, that's okay. I think Mark C is fine. Yeah.
Okay.
No worries. Okay. As long as we can uniquely put, names to faces, that's okay. Yeah, I did see a couple of people who had names like these random names that Reddit comes up with, like Flutterly, snapshot. So it's just random names. So 2 random words jumbled together, right? So those kinds of random names you should avoid. They don't get points. Try and create a name that matches one of these patterns, and then use that one. Because I did see a couple of posts by someone who said, not Puneet. Puneet was recent. Okay. When was it? Oh wow, there's a few more since I said Blacksmith total. Yeah. Blacksmith total. I don't know who that one is. Yeah. I thought I saw a couple more like that. Okay, so just make sure. Actually, even Richard, your one was different too. So you used audio file here. So use it doesn't matter. No, we know.
Yeah, I deleted the audio file one and made it the new one with the proper format.
Oh, you did? You later on? You did another
Yeah.
one?
There's one Richard Kramer.
Okay, all right, cool. Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Anyway, so that's all I had. Whoever Blacksmith total is, you should Jake was here. I saw Jake before, except he didn't have his camera on. Jake, are you here, Jake? I saw his name on screen before. Anyway, yeah, he introduced by name. That's how I could connect Blacksmith total to Jake Zabo, right? So someone needs to tell him that, hey, just change Jake S 1 2 3 4 5. And right, okay. Any other questions? Anything else that you'd like to ask about? Here's a thing that in a number base conversion that I was unsure about. I wanted to ask, right? So module 0 is actually great fun. It doesn't take you more than a week, really. It doesn't take you more than a day. It's of casual reading to just work through. And there's a couple of interesting problems there. You work through them maybe a day at most. Okay, you'll be done. And you've got to do the data representation quiz by the end of this week. Eminently doable. Okay, so do it. It's pretty straightforward and easy. And every one of you should convert your names from English to that is base 27 to hexadecimal. Find out if you got a pronounceable hexadecimal name, right? Using, allow yourself the liberty of using leet speak. Okay, so if you get 3, you can treat it as an E, right? And the leet speak. So you come up with a hexadecimal name for you, convert your base 27 to hexadecimal, and see if you can make that hexadecimal name be pronounceable. We actually did have someone here, okay, in our class who got that. Okay, I think her name was anyway, she converted her name, and then it was Abe, ABE, in hexadecimal. Okay, it's really cool, isn't it? It's hexadecimal number, but it's pronounceable, Abe, and it's a real name too, in the US. So who knows, right? You may come up with a name that you convert your name to hexadecimal. Maybe it's pronounceable, right? It doesn't have to be a common name. It just could be pronounceable. It's very rare. See if you get a pronounceable. So it'll be fun. But regardless, share it on the Reddit, okay? Because just going through that process is actually a great deal of fun, and it'll give you a great deal of insight into how number systems generally behave, or essentially how number systems behave when confined to a prison system of a certain number of digits. That's what it is, right? Because a number by itself doesn't have any number of digits. A digit only comes after you adopt a base system. So a number is just a quantity, a fuzzy quantity in your head. So, but if you say, well, you know what, hey, here, you fuzzy free person, I'm going to take you and shove you into base 10 prison, okay? So from now on, you only have 10 possible digits, okay? You can't express any more of yourself, okay? And then say, well, you know what, I'm constrained, but within the constraints, how much freedom do I have? Because you're not like completely constrained, because if you think of any game, anything that's worthwhile in life, it's not like total freedom. Total freedom is totally not worthwhile at all. Because in total freedom, you can do anything you want, right? If you can get anything you want, totally useless, okay? What happens is that when some of the freedom is taken away, then a game develops and becomes more interesting and nuanced. And say, well, within these confines, within this raga, or within these notes, within the scale, right? What are the different kinds of melodies that I can create? So within the confines of these, the rules of the game, right? So runs and victories or whatever it is, right? And so that is how you get these really cool things. So in within a base number system, how do numbers behave, right? And to get an intuition about that, you need to play with at least 2 or 3 different bases, okay? Not just in the base 10. Just base 10, you'll get a working knowledge of arithmetic and how to put things together and things like that. That's okay. Yeah, that's good. But learn at least 1 or 2 more bases, just like for learning about programming in general, okay? Programming in general, to learn the programming mindset, okay? Not, the programming way of thinking about things. That is very different, okay, from learning one programming language, or even you can be an expert in one programming language. That does not mean that you know the programming way of thinking about things. But what happens is that once you learn one language and you get good at it, and learn one other language, hopefully of a different kind, different paradigm, right? They're also trying to do the same thing, but in a different way, right? And then you learn one more thing, assembler, this, right? They're all trying to do exactly the same thing, but just in different ways, right? Declarative languages, different way. Functional languages, different way, but they're all doing the same, right? So then you get different perspectives of exactly the same thing. And the goal here is not to be a master of all these things, but go deep in each of these to figure out the general pattern. What is it that everybody is trying to do? Then you just get a masterful understanding of exactly the center that everybody is getting to. Then you don't need to know any one particular language. So given even a brand new language, you have to begin to figure out how to get to the center, because you know where you're going. You previously didn't know where you're going. It dropped here, you don't know where to go. Right now, right, you got a sense of where you're going because everybody goes in one direction. So you drop in a place and you say, all right, that's where I need to go. How do I, is there a loop here? Or is there some kind of structure that emulates a loop and so on and so forth? You'll actually try and figure out yourself. And so learning these different ways of tackling the same problem gives you a better understanding of, even in the algorithmic problems later on. I've said, in 2B and 2C, different bugs, different ways of attacking the same problem, just many different ways, it just gives you a big picture of the overall problem space. And just attacking it in different ways is a good way of understanding the problem space in general. And in 2B and 2C, you'll get an opportunity to take one problem and solve it in multiple ways. And so that you can get an intuition about these things. But, in order to build to that, 2A is critical. In 2A, you learn about control structures, how you can basically learn, how you can basically manipulate the CPU to do different things. And then 2B, I like the structure very much, okay? In 2B, you learn about how you can, now you learn how to put these things together, how you can put them together to make something, right? So how can you make a truck? How can you make a car? Because now you know how to use a wrench and all these things, how you make a car. So that is 2B. How can you make things using, the bare bones that you already learned in 2A? Now, once in 2C, after you learn these two, you got to be masters in both of these. That's why it takes 1 full quarter. Don't rush through any of these. 2C, say, all right, you know how to use these things and you know how to create new things from this. now use these things to solve some real problems. Okay, this real problem needs a new tool it doesn't exist. So create that and use that to solve this problem. That is 2C, and that is what you'll actually end up using increasingly. And when you get there, you'll see that that is a general approach that lots of subjects use, right? If you go to mathematics, for example, right? So you learn one sequence of things, and all of them get applied to one subject well, not one subject in the end, but one topic. All of these things come to bear on the one thing, right? So I will have recommendations, obviously, as you wrap up this class, I'll have recommendations for other math classes and other things that you would I recommend that you enroll in, especially if you're planning to do 2B and 2C, because I find that certain students of certain classes in math do much better in 2B and 2C. So I'll absolutely have recommendations. Okay, I need to process a bit more data, but I will get. I already have some information, but I will share them later. Yeah, thanks. Any other questions? No. Hey, but by the way, Ian, all of you guys, okay? Yeah, okay. I'm not going to read it, but Ian can actually say it out, right? Hey, Ian, are you here? Ian, I can't. Hang on. I can't.
Yeah, I'm here, Professor.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Okay. Yeah, I see. You're walking. That's why you can't ask the question. You can talk. That's much better, actually.
Yeah. So I'm taking these classes more so trying to, I guess like you were saying, learning a career, something to make money with. And you said it's not so much for that. Do you think it's good to still try to major in that, but just look for a different job? Or do you think there's something related that's more better to search after?
No. I totally think that everybody should do this. Although I am of the opinion, and I could be wrong totally, that it is not going to be useful in getting employment down the road. Okay, because even new students, let's say, catching up, AI will also, even if AI starts at a lower point, it'll catch up faster too. So writing code to sell or make money, I don't think is going to be a good idea. However, learning this will set you up to leverage the power of all of these other things that will come up in a much better way than if you didn't learn this. Because if you have resources out there, because even take AI, emerging AI, it's just a resource. It's a gold mine just someone hit upon, and it's free. Everybody can get a piece of gold now, right? So and because nobody knows where it came from, but it's there, right? And so everybody gets it. But as soon as the resources out there, people who get lottery, who've been poor all their life, and they win the lottery and they're broke in a couple of years. Yeah. And I think it is that kind of thing, right? When you have a lot of resources and it's totally free, you need to know how to use anything that you have in a disciplined way, in a resource a disciplined way. Okay, and I think the C++ is much better in that way than some of the other languages like Java and Python, because they have garbage collectors. Okay, so you can be less disciplined in these other languages and still get away with it. Okay, but in C++ you can't, because in C++ you ask for memory, you got to give it back. Okay, you can't say I'm going to take memory and you use it and throw it away and someone will pick it up after me. That happens in other languages. C++, you have to have the discipline to say, well, I'm going to use the bare minimum I can. That is what makes a computer scientist, right? A computer scientist is someone who figures out how I can do the same thing for less. That's what it is. Okay, can you do it in n-squared operations? I can do it in n-log-n operations. That's a computer scientist, right? Can you right? So essentially, that is what it is, right? Computer science is the art of figuring out how you can use less energy to achieve what you want, right? If you can be happy by doing absolutely nothing at all, that is the ultimate computer science. Right? And because that is essentially what we're going for, right? We want to do things, but not work for it. And, but at the same time, not be dependent on it, right? Because you can have AI and all these other things doing stuff for you and say, well, I don't have to do anything. Everything is getting done for me. But, you're actually on a dependent on so many things. Something could go wrong and your life is wrecked, right? So building the independence and being efficient at the same time, that is that I think that is what gives you good approaches. Certainly, to answer Ian's question, my personal opinion. Also, it's probably not a popular opinion, okay? Because if it was, what are computer science professors doing today? Right? Nobody will be teaching this class, yeah? Anywhere in the States. People are still teaching. It's not like ostriches burying their heads in the sand, but I think it's just because people who actually love it and say, well, you know what, there's no matter let's say all these other great sculptors and all these musicians made these beautiful things out there, doesn't mean that it's already been done. I'm not going to do it. I'm still going to go and learn how to make these new paintings, new things, right? I want to learn to make art, even though it's not going to be the best art ever. And so people want to learn because this is something that they want to learn, and I think that is a positive for education, really, because at least for me, well, ironically, after I retire, the students who get attracted to the subject are actually students who want to learn, not after a subject or a grade. Okay, it's totally different. Now, learning for a grade or a subject or a certificate will just become a thing of the past. If you enroll in a class, it is a given that you already want to, if you're totally interested and you want to learn it. Otherwise, why would you enroll? Right? Why would you enroll if you didn't want to learn it? Right? Because, so I think that will be a great boon for, education, in a sense, that without any hard reforms, automatically it'll fall in place, that only the really motivated and committed will actually want to and come to learn, which means the professors will have a great time too. Right? Because they can actually focus more on just the students who want to learn, and then cross-pollination and knowledge transfer, and everything could happen much better, I think. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you can still learn this class, and lots of professors will say that you'll get a good job. But think about it: 3 months for this quarter, right? And then another 3 months as well, we're talking about another 3 months for doing 2B and 2C in a good way, really. So, but I think you are only truly employable after you complete and dog 2C, meaning get through all of 2C. That's when I would really consider a person employable, entry level. And so that's at least 6 months away. But 6 months is a lot of time, I'm pretty sure that software, the field of software will be very different in 6 months. So I think we should just be wise and plan for all eventualities, and basically just say, I'm going to learn this anyway. If software allows me to make money, great, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'll use the knowledge I've learned in software to be able to use the block of gold I've been given in the most efficient way possible. Because as soon as let's say AI and agents and all these other things are out there, there will be lots and lots of apps, lots and lots of people writing inefficient things, just like now, right? After computer programming became out there, popular, lots of people write programs. Most of the programs you use are inefficient programs, okay? Doing things maybe not in the worst possible way, but not very far from it. But it still works and does something, so we still use it. Lots and lots of programs have horrible loopholes, horrible memory profiles, energy profiles. They will still use them, and even from some of the top software companies that many people trust, they're badly written, because it's hard to contain the quality of something that involves many hundreds of programmers generally, right? Especially in a world where profits and competition matters so much, and you got to really just be out like that. So lots of things are bad. But what you can, so yeah, when the new resource comes out, people who don't have a solid sense of programming, the programmatic way of thinking, which is really essential in the use of any resource, whatever, okay, I think they'll come up with new AI apps, new apps that use various ways of leveraging these things. They'll all be inefficient, right? Maybe it depends on AI to optimize these things in the background and do it in some way, like some inefficient sequence of database operations that is dependent on an optimizer to convert, like that. But I think someone who actually has proper knowledge of these things will get it right on, you know, they'll be able to do a much better job with the resources that are given to them. Okay. When you have free resources, it's better to learn how to use the free resources before you get them. And I think this programming track is a fantastic way to do it, especially the C++ track, because it teaches you how to use resources with the least wastage without being dependent on anyone, which is the most important thing. Okay. In other languages, you are dependent on the garbage collector coming behind you and sweeping up your bits and pieces. You can create objects and throw them away, right? You may write inefficient code because you're creating way too many objects when you don't need to, and so on and so forth, right? I've seen this happen even in even moderately experienced programmers in Java, for example. These create objects when instead of using native types without realizing that that is what causing the program to just stall for 10 seconds, not do anything at all, freeze and then go, freeze and go, freeze and go. That's the garbage collector kicking in programs that run for a long time. But you can control these things in C++. You can say, well, this is exactly when I want to release memory. This is exactly when I want to get more memory, and so on and so forth. And then because you know the cost of getting something done, you won't do it willy-nilly. Okay, so that is the again, an analogy from life is if you've just grown up all along with many in a royal family with many servants behind you all along, someone doing everything that you want, right? You won't think twice about doing something wasteful because it doesn't take you a lot of effort because you've never done it yourself. And so you might say, well, you know what, I need a let's say an ice cream cone, but in order to get that, you got to burn down that forest. Go and get it. Okay, because you're not going to do it. It doesn't going to impact you. You don't even think about it, right? But if you had to do it yourself, right? You'll understand it then, and then you'll have second thoughts about doing it yourself. So you have to do everything at least once yourself, and then even if someone else does it for you, you'll be more mindful of the actual cost involved, and say, well, you know what? Even though I don't have to do anything, someone else has to do it. Why should they do it? Right? Even though it may be a mindless automaton, why should it do it? So that is the computer science way of thinking about it. Right? So humans might think, well, I have 10 people working for me and they're just going to do the hard work. I'm not me. Well, maybe they're people, so I'll cut them a slack. But a computer scientist would say, I got 10 computers working for me, right? And they'll burn extra electricity to get the answer. But why should they burn extra electricity, right? I'll get them to do the answer without burning electricity, right? It's a more efficient way. So that is the sentiment we're going for.
Hi, Zara, I'm gonna ask another question.
Yeah,
is there,
go for it.
on that note, is there gonna be like practice exam before the midterm or the final?
Right, no.
No.
So there is one practice exam, but really I want to take it because the way is really just the format. Okay, like 3 questions or 4 questions just for the format. It's a format of the objective style, like oh, you have something where you had to fill in the blanks, true or false, and 1 or 2 check boxes and so on and so forth. But other than the format, it is basically just all of the topics. All the topics that I've listed in Canvas are fair game for the midterm. Before the midterm, however, what you can do is basically say, hey, I have people random questions to ask. Can we just go over them on Reddit together? Okay, I'll also chime in. If you ask, I say, hey, can someone help answer this question? I'll also help chime in. And Josh is there and other people too. They'll be able to help you too.
Yeah, I think it will be, I think it will be kind of hard if you just see the question for the first time. Like,
no. You see when you do the data representation quiz, you'll understand. Okay, the data rep quiz.
I actually done it yesterday.
Oh, you freaked out on it yesterday?
Yeah, I opened it, but I accidentally opened it, so I had to complete it. So
all right. So if you did some stupid like that, I can give you another chance. Don't worry. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, and if you want to do it again, that's fine. But don't freak out. Everything is about the same format. There'll be a sample, practice midterm, practice final, 3 or 4 questions of the same format. That's it. Okay. And the idea is just the topics, anything that you're unsure about. The goal is to ask in the forums and clarify, so that the idea here is that if you're unsure about it, chances are that at least 2 or 3 other people are also unsure about it. Yes or no? Right?
Yeah.
Suppose you have a doubt about something in class, do you think it is probable or not that at least one other person has the same question? Look at all the other people in class today.
Yeah.
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 Does everybody agree? Okay, all right. So that is the number one takeaway, I think, from the first lecture, is to basically accept the fact that any question you have, no matter how stupid it is, someone else might have the same question, and they may benefit from an answer from Josh or me or from another classmate who has this answer to this too. Right? Because remember, we are all coming from different backgrounds. Some of us have deep expertise all the way up to machine code and so on. Some of us are dual enrollment from high school who right. So very different backgrounds. So you just have to ask. Don't use Discord and ask secretly. Don't get secret help from your father, mother, brother, sister, friend. Okay. I think it's all very tempting, isn't it? Because in Silicon Valley, there are lots of people who know computer science every turn of the road. So you have to resist the temptation. And in fact, if you do have people in the family who are already in the computer science field, you just have to somehow tactfully convince them to keep their nose out of your business, okay? And say, well, you know what, for the next 3 months, I'm going to be learning computer science, but don't ever teach me anything, even if I'm stuck. I'm going to, break my head on a brick wall. Don't try to help me. I got to figure it out myself. And if you don't figure it out, you don't figure it out. That's okay. You'll get another chance. Don't worry about it. But the idea is to do it by yourself, not look at past posts on the Reddit. You can ask other classmates, your current classmates, saying, hey, I'm stuck here. Can someone give me tips? But don't go look in the past subreddits, because in the past subreddits, rather than tips, there's many of them just say, this is what you got to do. Okay. That's totally useless. Okay. You may as well not do this class at all. If you're going to look at the past subreddit and solve the quests, so because some of them say, this is what you got to do. You got the answer. And you don't learn anything that way. So use a current subreddit, current quarter only, talk to your current classmates, ask questions and say, hey, I'm stuck here. Can someone tell me? I don't even understand the question. Can someone tell me what the question is? Fair question, right? So you can ask that too. And I'm pretty sure if you don't understand the question, someone else doesn't understand the question either, right? You ask and someone answers and say, hey, this is what the question means. This is what you need to do. Help lots and lots of
Something I'd like to add is like
Sure.
sometimes when I have a question,
Mhm.
just like while I'm typing it out, I end up answering my own question. So like
I see. Yeah. Hey, Josh,
you can answer your own
mentioned this in a
question by
post. You mentioned it in a post on in Blue last quarter. Yes, that you realized the answer to your question as you were typing it. Was you or Caitlin or one of
I don't
someone?
recall.
All right, maybe Caitlin did. Someone actually did that. So it is a common experience, okay? So when you have a question or when you're stuck on something and you start typing on Reddit saying, hey, I'm stuck here, how do I solve it? Josh said, as you're typing a question, oh my gosh, it's so stupid, I got the answer. I wonder why I went to Reddit to ask this question, okay? So Josh had that experience. Caitlin, I believe, had the same experience. Two or three other people also had the same experience. But most of them said they ended up not making the post because they found the answer as they were typing. Yeah, Charlie's from CS2C, she said that. She was going to typing Rui maybe typing up, and then she found the answer and said, oh, all right, I'm going to scrap the post. Please don't do that. Okay. Go ahead, do the post and say, hey, I got the answer as I was typing up the question. Here's the answer. Okay, please do that. Okay, those kinds of posts are like gold nugget posts. Okay, very rare kinds of posts where you get the answer as you're typing a question and say, hey, I got the answer as I was typing the question. Here's the answer. Fantastic post. Okay, so if you do come across a post like that, please do bring it to my attention too. And those are great posts. Thanks, Josh, for bringing that up. Okay, so please post on Reddit. Okay, don't just do the closed forums and ask Discord and friends and family for help, right? Everybody else should be hands off. Only you guys should be doing this. That's how you can get maximum value out of this. Okay, otherwise it's totally useless, I can tell you. Hey, anything else I can help you with? How about, does anybody want to do a base conversion? Does anybody want, what time is it now?
Professor, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
I guess to reiterate on that note of somebody else having the same question, I was kind of reading Mike's post, and I also want to know, are you going to be offering 2B this summer as well?
Yeah, I'm offering Mike. Who's Mike?
Finn is what he goes on Zoom, but I think I saw on his post that he goes by Mike.
Oh, this quarter? This is Mike from this quarter?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's me.
Oh,
It's
I
Tin,
see.
but I go by Mike on the
Yeah, he's
introduction.
referring to you. Then.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Mike. Oh, hey, you should see if you can change the Zoom name to
Yes.
also Mike. It should be
Mhm.
possible, isn't it?
Yes, this should be possible. I'll do it right now.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Brandon, you were saying that asking another. So what was the question again? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Oh, it was just right if you're going to be offering to be this summer.
Yeah. I am offering to be this summer.
Okay, thank you.
Summer. And I'm also offering it in fall. But if you take 2B in fall, you won't be able to do my 2C. You'll be able to do some 2C anyway, but you won't be able to do my 2C because my 2C will be in winter. And that probably is the last time I'll offer 2C. So you got to do the 2B before fall in order to be able to do my 2C in the fall. Something like that. Yeah, some crazy. I forgot. Okay, this year I made all my requests for the entire upcoming year at the beginning, and then I totally forgot what the details of the request were. But that's what it is. I'm offering 2C one more time, really, because it's not very popular. Okay, that is the truth of it, right? If I want to cut right through to the chase, I can get like 40 students on day one, but many of them drop. And only like 15 or 20 stick around to the end. And the ones who stick around, they're probably all A's. Okay, they all of them got an A. But I think the thing is, maybe it is a spoiled mindset. Okay, entitled mindset, saying that, well, it doesn't look like I'm going to get an A. I'm not happy with a B, so I'm going to drop instead of getting a B. Right? It's like saying, I'm not gonna do this incredible things. I commit suicide and not do anything at all. That is the mentality. No, you should still stick around and try to learn. For whatever money you paid, you should try to get what you can out of it. Don't go for the A and B and so on and so forth. But that is what it was, right? That is the culture I found that didn't seem to gel too well with 2C. That's why I'm only offering it one more time, right? But the quest will, I'm pretty sure will be there. I think maybe the students will continue to run it. Maybe I'll transition it to someone. And but I don't think I'll be offering the quests. So this is a great opportunity, okay? Unique opportunity. While questing and C++ are being offered, this is the only last opportunity for doing this. It is great fun, okay? I'm pretty sure, because I had a great deal of fun just making it. So and a lot of students have actually had this, found it useful. So I would say totally go for it. Anything else? The one thing I could do is, we could do a quest for the module 0 also. It's actually very easy to do, a quest, meaning that like the data rep quest, where you got to answer the quest. It'll be a regular quest, but you got to type in the answers instead of writing a code, a program. But big deal. This is the quiz is doing a good enough job, I think. Okay.
Hi.
Yeah.
I saw you mention the summer class for CS2B.
Yeah, 2A and 2B.
I heard like summer classes are much faster and 6
Yeah.
weeks instead of 12. So you would have to, so the class would be just twice as fast, right? Basically.
Maybe twice as fast, yeah. But if you put it in perspective, you're going to enroll in half the number of classes. And you're going in a fall quarter, maybe you enroll in 4 classes, yeah. So
Maybe,
some
yeah.
enroll in 2 classes. So that's the same load. So you'll spend the time you spend in 2 classes, you'll spend for 2B, which is half the time. It is definitely much faster. And even in the regular quarter, 2B students do find challenging. But I think the only people who do find it challenging are the ones who are also enrolled in all these other challenging classes at the same time. Thinking that, I got to do all these classes, because I'm going to die tomorrow, right? And so, no, you got a lot of time. So you can take your time and do them one at a time, even, and enjoy these things, okay? That's what I think. College is like an ice cream parlor where you have all these courses that are different flavors. There's no point in just making one dish and stuffing all of the ice cream in there and mashing it all and stuffing in your mouth and out the door in like 5 minutes. Totally useless. Okay, so you say, well, you know what, this evening I'm going to take this evening out and just go to this. I'm going to taste all the different flavors one after another and take a little break between them. And that should be the attitude with which students should, and that's the attitude with which students will come to colleges in the future. Okay, not now. but I see again, I'm very optimistic that certificates in education and degrees like this, they're going to be important in the future. Okay, the only ones who learn will actually come with a mission to learn. Right? I want to learn this. All these other people are doing these things. These people are doing some really cool, cool stuff. Having such fun time doing programming or programming ways of doing things. I want to learn that too. Right? Or I want to learn to paint. I want to learn to make music. So, because, personal expression is the only way to really find fulfillment, right? Because everything else is just people doing things for a living. All right. Anyway, so, I'm just, talking on and on, keeping the sound waves occupied. Do you guys have any other questions for me? Otherwise, do you want to do a data conversion problem? Right. In fact, if you don't want, I will actually assign a problem and I'll step away. Okay. In fact, and Josh is here. Maybe we'll say, let's take someone and say, we'll convert a number. Let's say, well, I don't know, someone picks a number, right? Someone picks a number, 3-digit number. Okay. So let's say someone picks a 3-digit number, decimal number, like, 535 or 522, 237, whatever it is. Someone has to pick a number and that other person has to convert the number from decimal into binary on screen. Okay. Just by sharing Notepad and doing that. How about that? Can someone do that? And anyone who's not got their camera off, camera on is game for being pulled up to code. Okay, so now is the time that everybody switches on the camera, because otherwise you get to asked to code. Okay, all right. Okay, Rohit, do you want to code? Rohit, are you here? See, that's the other thing. Okay, so if you're not responsive when you are
Yes,
asked,
sir. I'm in.
Yeah, do you want to code?
Right now.
Yeah, it's
Hard
not
for
a
me.
coding program, but it is. You just have to share a screen with Notepad or something, and then you'll just type into Notepad whatever, and someone else calls out. Right? You don't have to do anything of your own. You're just performing in the capacity of a typist, just hearing and typing. You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed how you don't have to do it today, by the way. Okay, you can do it next.
Actually, I'm on I'm logging into Chromebook, so I don't have a Notepad now.
Oh, in Chromebook, do they have any kind of editor? Any way in which?
No. So maybe on Thursday I will get a different laptop.
No.
Can...
Chromebooks. You can go to Google. In Chromebooks, you'll be logged into Google, your Google account.
Okay. And
So
then?
you go to Google Docs and open an empty Google Doc, and you can share that too.
Okay.
All right. And then how about someone else? How about Jesus? Are you here? How do you pronounce your name? Jesus or Jesus? Jesus, are you here? Okay, see. All right. So if you're not responsive, that is pretty much an absent. Okay, that's for the day. And if you're absent on day one, that is really a drop. You got to keep that in mind. Okay. Let's go to someone else. Lily, are you here? Lily. All right. How about Puneet? Puneet, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, you want to handle this? You want to take the screen?
I'm on my phone right now. You want me to switch over to my PC?
If you can switch over to your PC, that's okay. Well, all right. Well, how about, I'll try the other 3 and I'll come back to you. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try, but I'll come back to you. But you should get on your PC usually for these classes. Don't do it on a phone, okay?
Okay.
Especially going forward.
Okay.
What about Kahya? Is it Kahya's last name or your first name? What is your first name?
So Kaya is my surname, last name.
Last name, right? So what is your first name?
Selami.
Selami?
Yep.
Selami, do you want to take the code? Are you able to code today?
I think no.
Okay, but you got to code. You got to volunteer. Okay, for in the near future. Yes.
I think no. I'm not sure.
No, not today. Not today. I'm saying tomorrow, day after, next class or the class after. You got to volunteer to do this. Yes.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm not sure actually.
Otherwise, you won't learn anything. Well, you learn something, but I think it won't be. Well, we'll see. Okay.
Okay.
But also, you get participation points for doing these things. Jin, are
Okay.
you here?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Are you able to code? Not code really, but work through this problem.
You could, if you walk me through it, yes, I can try.
Yeah. Well, not
Yeah.
right. Someone will walk you through it. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
But yeah, thank you, Jen. Okay.
All right, let me share my screen.
Yeah. Share your screen, and then.
All right, I hope you can see that.
Yes. And
All right,
then
sounds good.
the
All right,
font
great.
size. Type a bunch of numbers. We'll see the font size. But can you increase the font size? Maybe do a command plus or. Plus doesn't work. Increase the font size.
I usually don't use. Hold on, give me 1 second.
I can see it. I can read it. Okay. So while Jen is getting ready, can someone call out a number, a 3-digit number under 500? Okay, let's try and keep the small number under 500. Okay, so someone call out a number under 500.
256.
Well, let's not do 256. Okay, for a reason. And all right. By the way, in the Reddit, someone should make a post saying, hey, you know what? When we tried to convert a number from a decimal to binary, someone called out 256 and the prof said, no, let's not do 256. What could possibly be the reason for that? Okay, so there could be a reason for that. Yes. Well, technically there couldn't be a reason. I could just be, saying that, but there is a reason. And so you will get extra. Well, you think of these as extra credit because the more posts you make, the more points you get. You should make a post saying, hey, here's the reason why I think we did not want to convert 256. Okay, another number. So give me another number under 500.
150.
Okay, all right, 150. Let's take 150. And so what we're going to do is just type. Yeah, thank you. Type the question first. Convert the decimal number 150 to its binary equivalent. Okay. How many of you know how to do this already? How many of you, by the way, right? How many of you, and it's okay if you haven't had a chance to do it. How many of you had a chance to read through module 0 one time, at least once? Yeah. All right. So, all right. So some of you have not, right? And many of you have not. I would say that is the most important task for week number 1. After today's lecture, start reading module 0. You should absolutely be totally conversant with all of those, up to also converting your own name from base 27. It describes everything. If you don't understand anything, you should ask in the blue subreddit. Someone will answer. So you ask, and then you should learn that. So this is what we're going to do. Ava, I think, said yes. Ava, you said yes. Yes, you know how to do this. I saw a couple of thumbs up. So you had a thumbs up. Ava, did you have your thumbs up? I can hear you. I can hear you, by the way.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Did you have your thumbs up? Did you say yes?
I did. But I do get nervous when put on the spot.
That's okay. Everybody's nervous. So that's okay. Everybody's nervous. Don't worry about that. But I saw a couple of thumbs up, at least, you and a few other people too. All right. So here it is. So 152. Oh, I see. Okay. The number that someone called out was 150. Where you wrote 152. That's okay. So we want to convert 152. Now, here is the basic idea. Okay, and I'm going to describe this, and Josh will also be able to walk you through the algorithm and so on and so forth. This is also an algorithm. An algorithm is basically a sequence of steps you can keep on repeating until you get the answer. That's what it is. Okay, but there's a guarantee that you will get the answer. That is an essential property of an algorithm, right? But you just do the same thing over and over again, and you'll get it. And that is why it is like a calculus. Okay, it's a brain dead operation. You don't need intelligence to do this. Calculus is just moving pebbles around like an abacus, right? And you'll get the answer, but figuring it out, because that is it's a mechanical motion. Right? An algorithm is basically a mechanic. That's why an automaton can do it, I think. All right. Okay. Sequence of steps. Oh, I see. You're writing down the. Okay. All right. Here's what we do. If you take the number 152, it is in decimal. Okay. Decimal is base 10. What that means is that on the rightmost side, you have the number of 10 to the zeros in that number. What value is 10 to the 0? Can someone tell me what value 10 to the 0 is?
Is it 1?
Yeah, yeah. Who said that?
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh
thank
yeah.
you. Right? So 10 to the 0 is 1. Okay. So the rightmost digit says how many 10 to the zeros there are. Right? The one next to that says how many 10 to the ones there are. The one next to that says how many 10 to the 2s there are. Okay, so if you apply that to 152, you know that it has 2 10 to the zeros, 5 10 to the ones, and 1 10 to the 2s. Yes or no? Can everybody convince yourself that is true for 152? Thank you, Jin. Yeah, I think that is all very useful. Okay, yeah. And in fact, you can share this. You can share a screenshot of this in on Reddit too, saying these are the notes for today's class. I think it'll be useful and appreciated by everybody too. Yeah, so that's 100 plus 50 plus 2. Is it? No, 5 10 to the ones, not 50 10 to the ones. No, 50 is 5 times 5 10 to the ones, 5 10 to the ones. 50 arrowed 5 10 to the ones. Yeah, and that's 1 times 10 to the 2. Yeah, thank you. That's much better. Okay, so that's 152. So if for base 2, we're asking exactly the same question, except we're asking how many 2 to the zeros are there, how many 2 to the ones there are, how many 2 to the 2s there are, right? So yeah, for base 2, yeah, so you can say for base 2, we're asking the same question. For base 2, we're at how many, same question. Yeah. How many powers of 2 there are? How many powers of 2 there are in the number? Right? So you have 2 to the 0 is 1, 2 to the 1 is 2, 2 to the 0 is 1.
Oh, sorry. I'm taking a while to type this down.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
You can keep talking.
Well, I'll just keep talking. Yeah. Okay. So what
Yeah.
Jin is typing is basically all the powers of 2. And the challenge here is to figure out what the numbers are. Okay. What are the powers of 2 that make up 152? Okay. There's a trick to do that. And the way we do that, and if you discover, okay, if you ponder why this works and discover why this works, it's actually very simple. Okay. If you I think it needs about a half hour of your time, maybe, right? Or less, just to sit down and think about why does it work? How does it give me the exact number? Okay. And you think about it for half an hour, you'll get the answer. But if you don't do that, you won't get the answer. You won't know why it works, but it works. Okay. But if you do want to figure out why it works, it only takes a half hour. And if you do invest a half hour, figure out how it works, you should make a post in the Reddit. Okay, say, hey, you know what? This technique that we use to convert from decimal to binary, I thought about it, and here's why I think it works. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, it may be wrong also. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Okay, but it is your theory, and you just put it up there. Okay, and it'll be really cool. Now, here's what we do. All right, to get this answer, we're going to follow an algorithm. Okay, to get this to get our answer, we will follow an algorithm. Yeah, to repeatedly divide by 2, to repeatedly divide by 2 and note the remainder at each stage, right? And when, at the end, the remainder is in reverse is our answer. Okay, and why? That is something for your, right? Yeah, 152 divided by 2 is 76. No, 76 remainder 0. Say 76 and then say remainder 0. 76 remainder 0. Say REM because you're going to type that many times now. Yeah, and then 76. No, it's 76 divided by 2 now. Yeah, someone else should, right? Now, Jin is Jin, Jin, don't type anything, okay? Just type things in the capacity of a typist now, okay? Now, someone else should call out the numbers or whatever it is that Jin should type, and Jin will type what you say, Okay, so can someone else call out the code or call out what Jin should be typing? This is exactly what you're going to be doing after we start programming also. Okay, so can someone else call out the code? It should basically, I'm just setting the stage for me to just blend into the background and disappear. Okay, so that you guys are just self-sustaining and going, one person helping each other. So this is, I'm here to facilitate things so that I can see, why this worked last quarter. So let me try and make sure this works this time too. Right. So can someone help Jin complete that and the rest of the steps there? Call out what has he got to type now?
38 divided by 2. And
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Now, by the way, sure, you're welcome to keep going. Okay. Other people should just also feel free to just barge in. Multiple people can call too. Right. Everybody should just feel free to just barge in, and it's like a party. Everybody should just talk.
19 remainder 0.
Next one.
19 divided by 2, 9, remainder 1.
We'll go ahead with 9 divided by 2. And that'll equal 4, remainder 1.
Um, 4 divided by 2 would be 2 with the remainder of 0.
Two divided by 2 is 1 with the remainder 0.
One divided by 2 is 0, remainder 1.
And the final binary answer is the number or the remainders in reverse order from bottom to top. Wait, would it be bottom to top or top to bottom?
Bottom to top.
Bottom to top.
Bottom to top. All right, thank you.
Well, also, it fixed that half to 1/2. It did the autocorrect too at that point. You were going to do that, I think, at some point, and then you give up. You can get rid of the spaces now, right? You do the backspace now, it won't change it. Yeah. All right. So now do the final answer, and then also we'll put a note right there in this document saying, hey, why does this work? Okay, figure it out and discuss on the Reddit for it should say extra credit really, but what I do is I don't give extra credit right there then and there. I just remember this, and then and it's all there. You get lots of points for participation, and it works through that. Okay, so all right. Now before you go ahead, all right, so on the next line, on one more blank line, and say on one more blank line there. No, there, blank line, one more, and say, is that the right answer? Let's find out. Is that the right answer? Let's find out. Okay, so write 1001 1000, right? And then put some spaces between the digits. Put some spaces between the digits. And more, actually, I think maybe a couple more spaces. Yeah. All right. Now number all the digits from the right. It should say 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, and so on. Right. So say 2 to the 0, and then copy that 2 to the 0, 2 to the 0, and then copy that whole thing and paste it 8 times. No, on one next to each other. Each one should be under a digit. Okay, now change the, yeah, there you go. And then change to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 to the 0, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 2, 2 to the 3, all the way. So I think the leftmost should be 2 to the 7. The leftmost should be 2 to the 7 instead of 2 to the 0. No, right there on the previous line. Change the 0 to 7. And then the next one should be 6, and the next one should be 5. Yeah, okay. Now get rid of the blank line and then line up the zeros above those powers so that we know that, okay. Okay. Now, so yeah, on the next line, you can say, yeah, the above shows us the different powers of 2 that are in the number. So what we want, so we know that there's 1 2 cubed, there's 1 2 to the 4, and there's 1 2 to the 7. Yes or no? Is everybody on the same page so far? Okay, well, yeah, some of you are nodding your heads. Okay, Connor is nodding. But I don't know. I need to get more feedback here. Are we okay? Are you comfortable with this? I know you need to read through module 0 once. Thursday, you should be comfortable. Okay, totally comfortable. But today, it's okay if you're not comfortable with it, but I need to know. Are you guys okay with this? Right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know because you also helped. Give me a, thumbs up, okay, thumbs up because it'll just go away by itself. Thumbs up if you are comfortable with this so far, okay, and then I'll just use that too. If you don't give me a thumbs up, you're not comfortable with this material so far. Okay, Ethan, are you Ethan, Connor, you too? I'm not seeing everybody here, I guess. All right. By the way, Rohit, Rohit, Puneet, Sophia, Salami. Are you guys okay with this? Okay, all right. But you got to, everybody should read module 0 and in the context of this and figure out, yeah, well, this is what's going on and understand this. And basically, you should say, why does this? All right. So did you get it? Did you get it there? Go to the end. Did you get it? Oh, I see. You have.
I think I made a mistake. I don't.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track?
Oh, yeah. You have 0 2 to the zeros, not 1 time 2 to the 0. You have 0 2 to the zeros. Yes.
0 2.
Oh, you have 1 2 to the 7. That is correct. And then you have no 2 to the 6s.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's all. That's the only thing.
1 0 0 0. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So and that is you got 2 1 2 to the 4. 2 to the 4 is 16. Yes. 2 to the 3 is 8. 4 2 1. Okay. All right. Now, so our number is 128 plus 16 plus 8. Yes or no? Right? So yeah. All right. So some of you are nodding your head, but if it is any of this is even slightly mystifying, you just have to invest like 10 minutes of your time to go through the module, just this part. Maybe it's just 1 or 2 pages, right? Just read it. It will make total sense. It is very simple. Actually, it is like super duper simple. You just have to, like a mind switch. Yeah, but you have to understand this. Okay. If you don't, you have to ask, and someone will explain to you what's going on. All we're trying to figure out is, oh yeah, put the question there too. After that 128 plus, yeah, after that thing there, say, why does this work? Why does this work? Why does this work? Question mark. Discuss in the forums for extra credit.
Professor?
Yeah.
Should he have zeros, I guess, at the end of the expressions that have like 0 times 2 to the x power?
I'm sorry, I did not understand. What
should he have zeros like at the end of the lines that have like 0x 2 to the
like that, like what he's
power?
doing now? Like what he's doing now?
Kind of. I was thinking like replacing those numbers with
Yeah,
0.
because I'm multiplying 0 times 2 to the power 6.
Oh,
I see.
I see. Yeah. All right. So in fact, no, you should actually make them zeros. No, I think who was that? Who mentioned that before? That is the right thing to do. You-
Me,
that should be
Brandon.
zero. That should be zero. Yeah. Who said that, by the way?
Brandon.
Brandon Wu?
Yes.
Moved on my screen, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah, there is an option in Zoom to fix positions and not have people float around all the time. Okay. Well, I think at half screen for the shared work and half for this, it works. I can see you guys and still read the font. Okay, so why does this work? Discuss in the forums for extra credit. That is great. And thank you, Brandon, for pointing this out. Okay, so this number only has a 128, it has a 16 and an 8. Everything else is 0. Okay, and why does this work? And why does this division and then reading of the remainders in 0, remainders in reverse, right? Why does this work? It's kind of funny, isn't it, if you think about it? Now, this, by the way, is the heart of computer science, meaning not this particular thing. It is just what is called an algorithm. Okay, because it works even if you don't know why it works. Yes, isn't that true? Yes. So suppose you say, I don't know how to make a cake. I'm going to make a cake. It doesn't work. Well, you don't have a recipe either. It doesn't work. Yes. Okay. So generally, when we do something, we need to know how to do it. However, an algorithm is a magic thing, right? An algorithm it's a calculus. A calculus, by the way, calculus means, people always think, especially, when first-year students at Foothill or any college, really, calculus, people think, oh, it's all derivatives and integrals and stuff like that. No, calculus actually comes from a word calculi. Calculi means pebble, okay? Pebble, a stone is calculi. In those days, in the ancient days, complex calculations were performed just by shuffling beads around. If you remember even the abacus in ancient China, very sophisticated and complex calculations like, nth root of numbers and so on and so forth. You can do with the abacus, right? But without knowing how this happens, but if you perform a certain set of choreographed steps that people, have figured out, right? Some geniuses have figured out before and said, if you do this dance, you'll actually end up here. Okay, and the dance is extremely complex, saying, oh, move 2 beats there, here, there. Okay, there you got the answer. Okay, and so that is a calculus, because you don't know how you do it, you do it. And integral differential calculus, again, it is a calculus, but it's a different kind of calculus. Okay, it is a calculus because in order to find the slope of something, you don't have to understand the curve. You take the curve and you have differentiated, and for differentiation too, you can do it mechanically, like in a programmer, right? Inside of a program, an automaton, right? You take for differentiating x to the n, we know, right? You don't have to figure out, well, what the shape of the curve and what's the curve, you can say, oh, x to the n times x to the n minus 1. Yes, because you have these rules, blind rules you can apply one after another that takes you from here to there. So that is what a calculus is. An algorithm is like a calculus. Okay, a calculus that says, even if you don't understand it, if you implement it step by step, exactly, it'll work. Okay, so that is the beauty of an algorithm. That means that anyone who knows the basic of computer science can implement anything. Okay, if you know how to put things together and some expert has gone through an algorithm, figured out this is how you solve that problem. All right, and this is a sequence of steps, 40,000 steps out there published. Okay, and you don't know computer science, but you just know C++ or some programming language. Like, 90% of the people out there who call them programmers, right? They only know how to use a programming language. They don't have a sense of computer science, which means that if you give them an algorithm that has been designed by a computer scientist, they'll be able to put it together without any errors because they know how to do it, but they don't have the intuition of why it works. But why it works is the computer science of it, is coming up with it. And so you'll get a lot of opportunities to practice that in this track, okay? 2A, 2B, and 2C. You'll come across lots and lots of problems for, interesting solutions that totally does not appear obvious at all at first, okay? It says, this could not work, but you actually work through it, it'll work. And then you spend maybe days, figuring out why does this work? And you'll figure it out, and you get the epiphany, the aha moment, right? And I can guarantee that 2A, maybe you'll have 1 or 2 aha moments, maybe in CS2, in question number 9. I'm pretty sure in 2B and 2C, there's so many aha moments. That is really what people pay for. Okay, even when you go to a movie or a play or whatever it is, you're not just paying for the 3 hours, and there's 3 hours of your life lost essentially, right? You go there, you pay, but you're looking for an aha moment, something that triggers something in you, bam, like that. Wow, okay, that's what it is.
Professor.
Yeah.
For the discussion,
Oh.
on the Reddit, is it just r/CS2A?
r/CS2A, and it is 8 o'clock. I'm so sorry. Okay, and you guys are like so totally patient and polite and not even calling this out. Okay, it is 8 o'clock and it's dark. Okay, it is dark, and that's fantastic. So by the way,
So
we convert from decimal to binary and binary to decimal. You need to figure out why this works. Read module 0. It actually explains how to do it. Try to convert your own numbers. Talk about it in Reddit. You have to come up with topics and ideas for posts. Help each other. Ask someone else a question so they can give an answer. You both get points for that, right? Questioner and answer. And at the end of the week, you got to write a reflection. What do you do to reflect if you don't have any posts that you made during the week? Right? So ask a question so that at the end of the week on Sunday, when you got to do the weekly reflection, say, hey, I asked a question, Chan, you had I had a question about, base 8 and I answered that. Okay. And this is how you do it. Right. Or, he's doubt about octal to hexadecimal and so on and so forth.
So, is it out of future discussion what happened in CS2A? Because initially the Reddit was CS2C, right? The red one.
Yeah, no, that is only the genius flare. That is only for
okay.
action. I'm sorry.
Also, how would I flare if I'm asking a question or answering someone's question?
Just use if it is not to do with any of the quests at all, then you just tag it with the Foothill flare. Okay. Or there's also another flare called building blocks. Okay. If it's like a concept question like this one, you can use a flare called building blocks. Building blocks, I think, is a good thing for something like this. You just pick one of those. Don't use debugging buggers. Okay. I don't know why I created that. I'm probably going to delete that flare altogether. Yeah, and for all the quests, you'll know, because each quest has got its own animal, and so you'll know which flare to use. But this is what now, is this really clear? Clear. And thank you so much. Who was it? Was it Mike who was sharing the screen? Who was sharing the screen now?
Oh, it was me.
Jin, thank you so much for doing a great job. If you can actually export that to a PDF or whatever, or a PNG or whatever it is, and share that on the Reddit. And that will also be a great help to a lot of students.
Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
Fantastic. Do you guys have any questions? Right. All right. Now, raise your hand if you're, this class is not for me. It's kind of boring or whatever it is. It's not what I signed up for. I'm going to drop it. Okay. Don't drop it. But if you are going to drop it anyway, please let me know. Raise your hand. Are you planning to come back on Thursday, you guys?
Yeah.
Yes,
I just wanted to ask, so for the converting the binary for the 256, is it just not a good example because that's 2 to the 8th power? So we would have just one example of it.
Yeah, that's what it is. But you can actually ask that question. You can make that post on the Reddit too, right? You can say, hey, you know what? We were discouraged from converting 256. What could the reasons be? Here's one reason I had. Right? Maybe it is the 8th power and there's only one in it or something like that. Yeah. So there you go. There's a great reason for you to make a post. Again, you're all looking for opportunities to make an icebreaker. Yes, because it is always getting that first conversation through that is hard. Once you say, hello, what's your name? Or, I'm Mike, what are you? Who are you? What are you? Right? Even better, right? So once that ice is broken, it's much easier, isn't it? Getting that first word through, getting the first program through, next week onwards, getting started on the program is the hardest for many of the 2A students. That's why I say start with a program that's already done, even if it's not your, like some random hello world, and then chop it up. It's much easier. I think we've found success with that with many students in the past. So there's lots of ways. So here, this is a great way to break the ice on the Reddit, because lots of students, just like live coding in class, making a post like that out there in the open about a question that you're, a topic that you're learning, lots of people are uncomfortable with that. And the only way to get comfortable with that is just to face it. Just face it and come out the other side. Once you come out the other side, you know exactly what the feeling is. And it can never be worse than that. So the next time it'll be slightly better and better and better and better. And eventually it'll just be a non sequitur. You won't notice it at all. You'll just say, hey, you know what? I had a question. I just posted, and then I had the answer after I posted it. So you'll all of those things are great things to do. Because I can guarantee that no matter how many different multimodal albums, memory albums you're going to create for the future, taking your camera and photographs and 3D immersive photographs everywhere, all of that will pale in comparison, okay, to these photographs that are posts on Reddit, questions you ask, your cogitations and hypotheses about various things. All of those photographs are worth millions of times more than anything you can catch and share on Instagram, because everything else just captures instantiations of the outside world, right? Even your face and everything, that's all external, outside, okay? The only thing that really captures your inside world, your mind and your brain and how you think and what those things are, those are things, right, exposed in these cogitations of yours in these posts, okay? So you never have a photo album like that. There's people out there creating all kinds of immersive realities and, photo albums of your past you can go through and all that. No, but you really want to go through the, the dark matter, not the dark matter, right? But the memory lane of your life, where that's your intellectual development, not your physical development, right? And so that is lost. Many people don't keep an intellectual journal. So even if you don't keep an active intellectual journal, lots of people do, right? Because every day they write down, oh, today I came up with an interesting idea, right? And so on and so forth. They can look back and so on and so forth, right? But even if you don't actively do that, do this passively, because, just by contributing to that, you'll be building it up automatically. Whether you like it or not, in 10 years time, you can go back and say, hey, 10 years ago, I didn't know about hexadecimal. Now here I am, kicking ass, using numbers on Pluto and Uranus, right? So, and so on and so forth. So it'll be like super exciting. I'm pretty sure there are much better memories than anything can capture in other media. Is that enough? Was this a fun class? Did you actually learn anything useful in this class at all? Was this useful? And I hope you're all coming back on Thursday. But we'll do more convert. Thank you, Francis. Okay. I got a couple of Brandon, a couple of thumbs ups there. Okay, Puneet too. Right. So next class we'll do read module 0 before you come to class, because that is all the time we get for data representation. Only this week. Only this week. Next week we start coding. Once we start coding, we'll be moving fast because we have a lot of topics to cover. Okay, in CS2C. So we'll be moving fast. And so this is the only week we get for data representation, and it is so important. Okay, it is important. You need to know what the data types are and so on and so forth. So spend all the time to this week getting to the bottom of module 0, do all the exercises, post on the Reddit, and identify all the difficult concepts. Sign magnitude, that's easy. Okay, two's complement is usually hard. Floating point is hard for some students. So you can bring those things to Thursday's class, and then we'll work through problems on Thursdays and for these problems on Thursday. Okay, and also next week is when the first quest is due, and so we can have a dry run next week. Well, or maybe next week on Monday, maybe. Yeah, we'll have someone actually do the first quest on screen. Create a file, drop it, see the results and so on. So you'll actually know exactly what the hell is going on. So nobody will feel completely, out of the water when we get to those quests. Okay, and Fred will be here next week, and so you can also talk to him about futures and in AI. And Georgia is probably doing a lot of work in AI too and machine learning. Yeah, because I think they have a CS program that is targeted on at machine learning and data engineering. So you can ask them these questions about data engineering and so on and so forth. But even if you do have AI and all these things, it'll be very interesting to actually figure out the data analysis parts, machine learning and the data engineering parts by yourself. Because even if it suggests to you that this particular cut of the data is the most meaningful, you'll actually understand what it is rather than taking its word for it. Yeah, and that is usually what makes the difference when resources are completely free to everybody. All right, so that's all I have to say. Thank you all for your patience and sticking together. Thank you all for Josh. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I want to say that I'm starting a like supplementary course, like not a course, it's like a group. So we meet up on Mondays, and we can like get extra help. So anybody that's never coded before, I highly recommend you join. I'm gonna be making a post on Reddit so we can decide what time we'll meet. I know the day is gonna be on Monday, but there's a wide range in the time that we can meet. So check on Reddit for when I make the post.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Josh. Okay. I'm so glad that he's taking such an active role in doing these things, because last quarter, I don't think we had these things organized until much later. And Josh will be a super duper, source of help when it comes to coding these programs. Because I've been through the classes when he was actually coding with the other students too. So make sure. I only have one request, Josh. I try to keep as much as possible outside of Discord. Okay, as much on Reddit as possible, and because lots of students may benefit from these things. And if you have a session when you're teaching a bunch of students, hopefully one of them can actually summarize and make a post saying, "Hey, yesterday we had a session with Josh, and he talked about how to use a new kind of for loop, and this is what we learned." And so you should basically take that opportunity and post it, and that way you would have gotten a post out of Josh, essentially, because Josh would have talked about it during a tutorial session, and then you describe it in a Reddit post and you get a post out of it. That's really cool, isn't it? So you should absolutely take full advantage of what Josh is offering Mondays. I think, hey, Josh, is this on Zoom or do you have a location on campus?
It'll probably be Zoom because that's most convenient. I would like to do it in person, but I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, you can figure it out. There's a whole bunch of free conference rooms, really nice, with Wi-Fi and everything in the library. We can actually use one of those, and then you can say people who can come here can join by Zoom. You can have both too. Well, it's up to you guys. You guys decide. Josh will probably, decide how the polling and everything is going to be done there. But I'm there. Josh is here, and other people are also able to help. So please feel free to keep the forum rolling with questions and thoughts, even though it may be frivolous. Doesn't matter. Okay, it's just your opportunity to have at it, essentially. Yeah, is that okay? Will I see you all on Thursday again?
Yeah, I've one question.
Yeah, Jonas, go ahead.
So I don't know if I'm like my canvas is the only one that looks like this, but I have like 19 different links for the Zoom meetings on
yeah.
Thursday.
Under calendar, the calendar, the Canvas calendar is so buggy. I think I've noticed this before, and the way to do this is not look at the Canvas calendar, but click on the Zoom on the left nav tab. Okay, on the left nav section, you'll see Zoom. Jonas, do you see it?
Yeah, is it Foothill Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
once you click that, you'll see all of the Zoom.
Okay, I see. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
The calendar is buggy. Okay, it shows you all the meetings from the last quarter and all.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay. All right. Wait, it's dark, isn't it? It's like so dark. There's actually, oh wait, how come there's a circle of light? Because it's just a rectangular screen. What is it? What is, I think Zoom is doing something. Oh, by the way, I'm not even in, I'm kind of blurred out and all. Yes, I'm not even in grainy and all. Maybe it's because there's not enough light. Wow, that is so bright now compared to that. Okay. Anyway, it is well past 8 o'clock. Thank you all so much for hanging out here and humoring me and for your patience. And I'll see you on Thursday, and we'll work on some two's complement and other kinds of problems that you kind of find challenging. Yeah. All right.
Hey, can I
questions? If you have any
no,
other
can I stay with you for a second? Like,
yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah. I'll be here.
I just have because like I said
Thank you,
yesterday.
Professor.
Yeah, no worries.
Yesterday I accidentally
Good night.
Good night.
Yesterday I accidentally clicked on the DR quiz, and
yeah.
don't
worry. I'll set you up with another try.
Yeah, like maybe on Thursday, like when I got more comfortable with it.
Sure.
On
You
next
can
class.
actually take it in week 11 too. That's another thing that people have done. Okay, totally messed up on data rep, and they do the I think anyone who totally messes up on a midterm or a data rep, totally messes up, meaning less than 10 or something like that, they get another chance to do it in week 11. Do you want to do it in week 11?
I'm fine with this week, but if it's in 11, I'm also okay with that.
Yeah, okay. Why don't you just send me an email in week 11 referring to this conversation saying, hey, Prof, can you reopen the data rep quiz for me?
Okay, thank you so much. For email, I just use Foothill inbox or
Yeah, you can use anything.
oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You use the Canvas inbox. Yeah, Canvas inbox. I think that's better.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No worries, Yang. Sophia.
Oh, I also can you call me Mark, please.
Mark, is it?
Yeah, MARC.
But you're gonna change the.
I'm gonna change it. Yeah, I'm gonna change it.
And also, I think Tin has to change it to Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, all right. See you next week.
See you. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Sophia, what's up? Sophia, are you here? Sophia, are you here? I'm gonna close the meeting otherwise. Hey, Sophia, what is it? I see applause on your thing, but so which means that you're here, but I can't hear you. Your mic is not working right now. Ask my input on a script. Oh, I'm in the chat. Well, what is it? Is it a Python script? Okay, well, you're better off sending it an email. Is it a small script or a big script? No, send it to, or put it up here. Let's take a look. If you can share your screen, just pull it up and on your computer and share your screen. How big is the script, by the way? Yeah, sure, you can email me. Don't worry, okay? So you can email me. But if it's like, 200, 300 line script, you should really ask someone else. If it's a short one, it doesn't take a lot of time. I'm more than happy to look at it for you. Yeah? Yeah, okay. Yeah, 150 is fine. I'll try and get back to you about that. All righty. Good night.